Well, let's give an idea of what's exciting to you about what we experienced at the workshop in Seattle.
I really liked the part where he went into the fear that's associated with dealing with a difficult student. You know, we have fear and the student has fear, and that just doesn't work well together. And so I like that he talked about that fight or flight and that fear and how to overcome it.
Yeah, I liked, over the years I've had many, some discipline issues where maybe I had to send a student out of the room or send them to the vice principal or the principal, and I just thought these are some great techniques to put the responsibility or the onus on the student to take responsibility for their behaviors, because some of these techniques in the past kind of let them off the hook, and just I had to follow up later, and there's a lot of legwork on my end to try to correct the situation. But I like this new technique because it gives the responsibility back to the student.
Mm-hmm. I think the big part of for me is that it responds to the student as the student is, and it walks through a process to be able to help them develop that skill of self-evaluation, self-reflection, and how am I going to fix it, and then hopefully mends it with the teacher as well, because the teacher's
Mm-hmm.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that a lot, as opposed to imposing consequences.
Yeah. And I like they went over kind of a roadmap of responsibility, and when you're, confronting a student, a lot of times they want to diverge off the road, and, like, for example, put your phone away. Well, George has his phone out, and that's the diversion, and he helped us to kind of get that turned back around, back onto the road of responsibility, so I like that responsibility piece.
Yeah, and so also the workshop kind of talked about some of the five they call it give them five, the different techniques to support a student. If you're trying to deal with an issue, you want to always, support them, even though it may be a behavior issue. You want to be positive and try to work them through it. What were some of the other ones, like, besides the support?
Then they also had expectation.
Right.
You had to be very, very clear about what it is you wanted, what the behavior change needs to be. So that was another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was breakdown.
Right, breakdown, and benefit, and support. I think the students need support, I think they need to hear something positive, not something fake positive, but something positive, so that they begin to listen. Otherwise, that fear is just gonna set in and they're gonna stop listening.
Okay.
So.
And it was really pretty clear about, having conversations even, four processes of having a conversation, and the one that, comes to mind is using their name a lot in
Yes.
the conversation. Mm-hmm. It makes them pay attention a lot more. I mean, and there were three others, but
Right.
Yeah, coming down to their level.
Yes.
I like that too.
And it was good because it's not scripted. Like, it provides a structure, but allows you as a teacher, an administrator, counselor to work through the issues, but not feel like you're, okay, now I'm going to take the role of, reciting this script, and then, so it doesn't seem fake or phony.
But it kind of was. It was kind of a, he talked in the training about, people who do telemarketing, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And how if the response is this from your person that you're calling, then go to the book and here's your response. And you almost need that, not exactly, but you almost need that automatic, this is what I'm going to say if this happens.
Right.
Because again, that fear gets in the way, and then you're like stunned and you don't know how to respond or the appropriate response. So to have some kind of stuff in here when this is happening with a student is really helpful.
Well, and I like the idea with practice, it goes faster, and so that, always in the back of a teacher's mind is, I've got kids in class, I need to get back to my kids in class, but you also have to get this kid going too. And it gives you a process to walk right through it so that you can get better at it and then get back to your class, hopefully with the student re-engaged.
Yes.
He gave lots of examples too, and one really good one in the training about a student that had a really, really rough time taking responsibility, putting that onus back on him. And he was in the principal's office for a couple days, I think. Mm-hmm. And it was something that definitely could happen. And a student just denying that personal responsibility, but spent enough time being really encouraged to think about it, and coming around and working it out with the teacher was really, really
good. Instead of doing the classic maybe. I mean, of course, suspension might be warranted if it's, threatening others or harming themselves or others, but in a case where it's, moderate to low level, it's something good to keep the responsibility with the student, keep them engaged, and try to make amends with the teacher and whoever else was involved to try to correct the situation.
Because just trying to, you know, beat out time, which is what you do when you get a detention or a suspension or whatever, you know, they're gonna wait out that time, because that's the kind of kid we've got in that situation, is they know how to wait that time.
And that's the only focus.
And that's the only focus. There's no self-reflection, there's no change of behavior, there's no ownership of responsibility for their actions. And so it really does help, and I think that's what this program is all about. And we're good.